A man's words can be a doorway or a trap. He won't always scream abuse. Sometimes he'll whisper it with a smile. And if you don't know the signs, you'll mistake your own destruction for love. There comes a moment, quiet, precise, irreversible, when your nervous system finally understands that what he just said was never about you. It was a window into his soul, his wounds, and the chaos he's trying to invite you into. And in that moment, you will have two options: betray yourself to keep him, or walk away and never look back. If you've ever heard a man say something that made your stomach tighten, not from butterflies, but from your intuition whispering, "Leave," then this is for you. Because a man will always reveal himself in words before his actions catch up. And when he does, it is your sacred responsibility to listen with your inner ear. Carl Jung taught us that the unconscious always reveals itself. Through slips of the tongue, through projections, through the masks we wear without realizing. The persona he presents is polished, but the truth leaks through when he thinks you aren't listening deeply. You are not just a woman. You are an archetype in motion. And the more you awaken your feminine intelligence, the less you will be fooled by charm without character, masculinity without honor, or attraction without soul. So when he says these things, these 5 psychological flags wrapped in honeyed words, let your silence become your sword. Let your stillness become your shield. Because a magnetic woman doesn't argue with energy that's beneath her frequency. She simply removes herself from the battlefield. Here is the first truth you must recognize. I'm just being honest. No, darling, he's not. He's being emotionally lazy and using brutal candor as a weapon. This phrase often precedes something that is meant to wound, not reveal. It is the masculine shadow cloaked in false integrity. Jung described the shadow as the dissound part of ourselves. And when a man is disconnected from his own shadow, he projects it onto the women around him, masking cruelty as truth, arrogance as clarity. When a man says this, what he often means is, I don't have the emotional intelligence to deliver truth with care. Or worse, I get off on how much you'll tolerate. In modern life, this is the man who critiques your dreams in the name of realism, who shames your vulnerability under the guise of tough love, who comments on your body. Just to be honest, don't let the illusion fool you. This is not truth. It is corrosion dressed as candor. The antidote: boundaries with no explanation. If a man cannot wield honesty with empathy, he is not mature enough to be near your heart. Your emotional sovereignty demands a man who can hold truth and tenderness in the same sentence. Because the feminine doesn't just want facts, she desires soulful communication. Words that nourish, not just inform. Tone that holds presence, not just volume. Walk away from any man who weaponizes words to test how much of your dignity he can strip before you notice. Here is the second red flag, cloaked in fox depth. You're too sensitive. Let that sit for a moment. How many women have shrunk themselves after hearing those words? How many powerful, intuitive, radiant women have second-guessed their own nervous systems because a man told them their feelings were too much? In Jungian psychology, the anima is the inner feminine within the male psyche, the part of him capable of empathy, reflection, receptivity. When a man says you're too sensitive, what he's truly revealing is that his own anima is underdeveloped. He does not yet know how to feel. He does not yet know how to listen to emotions without needing to fix, dismiss, or dominate them. And so he projects his discomfort onto you. This shows up everywhere, in relationships, in friendships, in boardrooms. When you cry and he recoils. When you express a need and he calls it drama. When you dare to feel deeply and he flinches instead of holding space. Sensitivity is not weakness. In feminine energy, it is magnetic intelligence. It is the radar that detects falseness before logic catches up. It is what makes you a healer, a seductress, a visionary. Never apologize for that. Here's what to do instead. The next time a man tells you you're too sensitive, say nothing. Simply observe. Observe how he handles your silence. Observe how he fumbles in the presence of your unapologetic presence. A man who is emotionally available will honor your sensitivity, not label it a liability. The more attuned you become to your own emotions, the more you will attract men who are attuned to theirs. Let's move to the third phrase, a phrase that signals a deep-rooted fear of feminine power. You're intimidating. Yes. The compliment wrapped in barbed wire. This isn't admiration. This is resistance. When a man says you're intimidating, he is revealing his inability to stand in the presence of your unapologetic selfhood. He's telling you, in code, I'm not ready for a woman who doesn't beg to be chosen. Jung taught that the process of individuation, the journey to becoming whole, requires us to integrate both our light and our shadow, our power and our peace. So when a man is intimidated, he's confronting the parts of himself he has not yet developed: strength, clarity, conviction, vision. He sees these qualities in you, and instead of rising to meet them, he asks you to dim. Do not dim. Do not contort yourself into palatability. You are not here to shrink into a size that fits a man's comfort zone. You are here to radiate so fully that only men of substance feel invited, not threatened. In everyday life, this looks like the man who says you're too successful for him, who calls you high maintenance because you have standards, who jokes about your ambition because it unsettles his passivity. Let your response be effortless sovereignty. You don't need to prove that you're soft underneath. You don't need to apologize for being multidimensional. The magnetic woman walks away not to punish, but because she no longer resonates. Your energy is sacred, and a man who calls it intimidating is simply announcing his unreadiness to meet you where you already are. And now we come to the fourth signal, subtle, insidious, wrapped in the illusion of flattery. You're not like other girls. This may sound like a compliment, but it's not. It's a cage. He is not celebrating your uniqueness. He is isolating you, placing you on a pedestal that will one day become your prison. This phrase is born from comparison, not connection. In the language of archetypes, this is the mother, wand in disguise. He wants you to perform the role of the exceptional woman, so he never has to do the inner work to value all women. This man will love you for your silence until you speak. He will cherish your independence until it threatens his control. He will say you're unlike anyone he's ever met until you stop performing the version of you that flatters his ego. This isn't attraction. It's emotional manipulation wearing cologne. Real love isn't built on comparison. It's built on resonance. He should want you not because you're different from other women, but because your soul speaks a language his can understand. Your antidote: cultivate sisterhood. Honor other women publicly and privately. Never accept love that comes at the cost of disowning your gender. Because the magnetic woman knows this, her worth is not defined by being the exception. It's defined by being fully herself. We'll end part 1 here. But this is just the beginning. Because in part 2, we go deeper into the most dangerous phrase of all. The one that sounds romantic, but is rooted in control. Stay wise. Stay sovereign. And remember, when a man reveals himself in words, don't argue. Just listen, and then decide who you will be in response. Your silence is your answer. There is one phrase that sounds like love, sounds like romance, like devotion. But when it falls from the wrong lips, it's a leash. I can't live without you. At first, it feels intoxicating, like you've become his oxygen, like your love has cracked him open, transformed him. The movies, the songs, the fairy tales, they all teach you to crave this kind of desperation, as if it means you've finally become the one. But from the lens of Carl Jung's psychology, this is not love. This is a disfigured anima, a man who has fallen into emotional dependency because he has not yet made peace with his own soul. When a man says, "I can't live without you," what he unconsciously means is, "I don't know how to hold my identity without you propping it up." This is not love. This is fusion, a collapse of boundaries, a merging that suffocates instead of supports. In Jung's words, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But if one dissolves into the other, it is no longer transformation, it is annihilation. In modern relationships, this phrase shows up as a man who clings to you not because he sees you, but because he fears being alone. A man who pulls you in closer the moment you try to breathe. A man who guilts you for needing space, because without you, he doesn't feel real. This is not romantic. It is a warning. The feminine energy does not exist to complete a man. It exists to awaken him, to mirror his potential, not become a surrogate for his soul. If a man says he can't live without you, walk away not out of cruelty, but compassion. Because if he does not know how to live with himself, he will eventually drag you into the void with him. The woman who has returned to her emotional sovereignty does not confuse obsession with passion. She chooses a man who stands beside her, not one who leans on her like a crutch. The next behavior to watch for is less obvious, but deeply revealing. A man who is always joking. Sarcasm is often truth in costume. You've felt it, haven't you? The sting hidden inside the smile. The "just kidding" that cuts deeper than a direct insult. He says something about your body, your intelligence, your dreams, and when you react, he laughs and says, "Relax, it was just a joke." But your body doesn't laugh. Your nervous system flinches. Why? Because sarcasm is the shadow's language. Jung taught that the unconscious always finds a way to express itself. When a man cannot say how he really feels, his resentment, his envy, his disappointment, it leaks out through disguised contempt. This is not wit. This is passive aggression dressed up in charisma. In real life, it's the man who constantly teases you about your emotions, about how long it takes you to get ready, about your success, while never saying anything directly. It's always sideways, always plausible deniability. And here's the dangerous part: the more magnetic you are, the more these men will test your self-worth through humor. They want to see if you'll laugh along to stay liked, if you'll giggle to keep the peace. But a high-value woman knows that peace at the expense of self-respect is war in disguise. The solution is not to argue, not to explain, but to disengage completely. You don't owe anyone access to your energy if their presence chips away at your wholeness. You are not here to be the punchline of anyone's unresolved pain. You are here to radiate in your fullness without asking for permission. The next phrase is one that reveals emotional bypassing. It sounds spiritual, even evolved, but it is anything but. You're overthinking it. He says, when you voice a concern, when your intuition picks up on something real, when you start connecting the dots, feeling the dissonance, questioning the mask. This phrase is not about you. It's about his inability to confront reality. According to Jung, when the psyche is fragmented, when the persona has not been integrated with the shadow, it seeks to avoid truth at all costs. Truth threatens the illusion. So instead of engaging, he dismisses, he belittles, he gaslights. You're overthinking it is code for stop seeing through me. And if you listen to it long enough, you begin to doubt your own knowing. You start to silence yourself to stay connected. You begin to betray your inner wisdom for the comfort of his approval. Stop. You are not overthinking. You are perceiving. Your mind is doing exactly what it's designed to do. Protect you from falsehood. This man shows up everywhere. In relationships, in the workplace, in spiritual communities. He uses calmness as a mask for control. He dismisses emotion as drama. He calls boundaries walls. But the emotionally intelligent woman doesn't fall for this anymore, because she's done confusing avoidance with peace. The truth is this: your capacity to question, to think deeply, to intuit what's not being said, is not a flaw. It's your gift. It's how you protect your magnetic field. Walk away from anyone who makes you feel like your depth is a burden. It is your superpower. And finally, the last phrase in this part of our journey, one that sounds supportive, but is rooted in subtle hierarchy. He'll take care of everything. At first, it feels like love, like safety, like masculine strength wrapping around your feminine heart. But over time, something starts to die inside you. You stop asking questions. You stop leading. You stop initiating. You stop creating, and eventually, you stop feeling. Because while this man appears to be offering protection, what he's really offering is control. Jung said, "The healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into tortures." So what looks like chivalry may be compensation for a wound. What looks like provision may be a mask for possession. This dynamic is subtle. He plans everything, decides everything, provides everything, and you begin to disappear. This is not partnership, it is emotional regression. You become the child, he becomes the father, and soon your feminine energy, the chaotic, creative, intuitive force that animates your soul, goes dormant. A magnetic woman doesn't need a man to take care of everything. She desires a man who empowers her to remain in her power while being held. So ask yourself, is his help making you stronger or smaller? Is his provision building your freedom or your dependence? Is his presence awakening your queen or infantilizing your spirit? Choose the man who supports your expansion, not your erasure. The man who walks beside you, not in front of you. The woman who has awakened to her archetypal power will not be bought with comfort. She is drawn to alignment, to depth, to sacred polarity. Some men never raise their voice. They never insult you directly. They smile, they charm, they praise. But your body still tightens in their presence. Why? Because words carry frequency, energy, an intention behind the syllables that your nervous system feels before your mind can interpret. A Carl Jung taught everything unspoken still acts upon us. Shadows, projections, unconscious archetypes, all shape what is said and how it's said. So when a man speaks, he is not just communicating. He is broadcasting his state of integration or fragmentation. This is why the most dangerous phrases aren't always what he says, but how he says them. There is a tone some men use that masquerades as care, but drips with contempt. A softness that is not kindness, but condescension. A calm that isn't peace, but manipulation wearing monk robes. You must attune to the energetic fingerprint of his words. When he says, "I'm just trying to help," but you feel belittled, trust that. When he says, "You're overthinking," but you feel silenced, trust that. When he says, "You're special," but it sounds like ownership, trust that. Your emotional intelligence is not an accessory. It is a shield, a compass, a signal system gifted by your feminine essence to help you navigate what logic can't always decode. Jungian individuation means becoming whole, uniting not just the light and dark, but also intuition with intellect. The magnetic woman is not swayed by words alone. She listens with her entire being. And here's the final truthing: some men speak like poets, but they live like cowards. They say, "I love strong women," but flinch the moment you set a boundary. They say, "I'm not like other men," but mirror the same patterns of avoidance, control, or spiritual bypassing. They say, "You can trust me," but disappear the moment you open your heart. These are not random behaviors. They are the echoes of an uninitiated masculine. An uninitiated man has not faced his own chaos. He has not befriended his shadow. He has not earned the right to hold the feminine. So he clings, performs, controls. Or worse, he gaslights the very woman who could liberate him. You do not exist to be a man's therapist, his savior, or his proving ground. You exist as a force of nature, as an oracle, a mirror, a mystery, a sovereign soul. So when a man reveals himself, whether in cruelty or charm, believe the revelation. You don't need to fix him. You don't need to fight him. You don't need to figure him out. You only need to choose you. And that choice is not loud. It doesn't come with fireworks or final words. It's in the quiet no. The walk away that needs no permission. The slow return to your own breath. The moment you stop seeking his validation and begin returning to your own rhythm. Feminine energy is not just receiving. It is remembering. You remember who you are when you stop trying to decode men who have yet chosen to decode themselves. You remember your power when you stop begging to be understood by someone committed to misunderstanding you. You remember your beauty when you stop competing, contorting, performing. You become magnetic not by chasing, but by withdrawing your light from those who misuse it. Let him feel your absence like a silence that screams. Let him feel the weight of what he lost, without a single word spoken. The woman who no longer explains, defends, or pleads is a woman who has become untouchable, not because she is cold, but because she is clear. There is no love without self-honor. No attraction worth keeping if it costs your dignity. No man worthy of your womb if he cannot respect your mind, heart, and soul. So as we close, let me leave you with this. Every time you walk away from what wounds you, belittles you, or drains you, you walk toward your truest self. Every time you trust your body's wisdom over someone's smooth words, you step deeper into your own sovereignty. Every time you choose silence over proving your worth, you choose your magnetism over your fear. And every time you say no to a man who reveals his immaturity through subtle phrases, you say yes to the king energy you truly desire. Because the right man won't just say the right things. He will embody them. His presence will speak louder than his promises. And when he speaks, your nervous system will not tighten, it will soften. Your heart will not guard, it will open. You won't feel like you're being seduced. You'll feel like you've come home. That is the difference. So now, ask yourself, which of these 6 behaviors do you already embody? And which one will you start applying now? I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. Until then, stay radiant, stay intuitive, stay unshakably you. Because the woman who walks away when her soul is dishonored always walks straight into her queendom.